Okay, so we wanted to give you a tour of all of our cheeses that we offer on the next page. So we talked about, the top one for us is Prairie Breeze always. After that is Flory's Truckle, which is up in your right-hand corner. You will be tasting through one of our flavored cheddars today, which is 4 Alarm down at the bottom. We also have black pepper cheddar, which we hand grind or not hand grind, but we freshly grind in like a coffee grinder. Yeah, all of the peppercorns that go into that one. Caramelized onion is one of my personalized favorites. So that's another item we offer, as well as garden vegetable and tomato garlic. One of our younger cheddars that's plain is Old Style. And then you can see a peek of some of the curds at the top of the slide as well. And then last but not least is Quark, our fresh cheese, and we're going to tell you all about that in a second. But for you guys today, we really wanted to pick some amazing cheeses for you to taste, as well as one of our favorite honeys that goes with it from Mike's Hot Honey. And we picked these for a number of reasons. One, because we haven't stopped talking about Prairie Breeze and Flory's Truckle. So if you haven't had it, these are the top two. I think Quark is something that most Americans may not be aware of. So we have been making this fresh cheese for a while now, and people love it. So we wanted to share that with you. And 4 Alarm is probably in the top 3 in terms of sellers.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Yeah, so that's why we picked these, and they're great cheeses that you can keep in your fridge for a long time too. So if you can't get through an entire piece tonight, don't worry, you can save it and share it later. Well, we are going to start with Quark. When you're tasting cheese, you always want to start with the freshest, mildest. Is that correct?
Yeah, the term is like mild to wild. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that.
It's a little dorky.
Mild to wild.
So yeah, obviously the Musser family, they are Mennonites, and they are sort of Swiss German descendants. Descendants from the Switzerland, Germany area. And Quark is a very typical cheese that most people would be making at home. It's actually a very simple cheese to make, but it's a very difficult cheese to make well. And when we started working with Milton Creamery, we weren't even aware that they were making this fresh cheese called Quark. This is something that they mostly make for themselves, and it's something that they sell out of their retail store at the factory. And we do have some local distributors that will pick some up here and there. And we never really talked about it much, but it is really a remarkable cheese. So it's essentially like a German-style cream cheese, but it is heavily cultured. We do employ some of the same cultures that go into our Prairie Breeze. Whether it has any actual impact on flavor, we don't really know. But it's a very simple process. When you taste it, and it's going to be very creamy, very lactic. It's going to have a smell of like fresh butter. It's pretty spectacular. Excellent with cured meats. Excellent for breakfast. It's a great substitute for cream cheese. It makes one of the most delicious cheesecakes that you could possibly imagine. It's got just the right amount of tang, and give it a try and let us know what you think. But
yeah, it's so good. It's really mild, and it's neither sweet or sour, so it's not like yogurt in that way. It's definitely like a thicker than a yogurt and tangier. People, like Jeff said, do just go crazy over this for their cheesecakes. It's really good for dips. And it can be a substitute for a lot of things. Sour cream, fromage frais, cream cheese. I know people put it on their baked potato, pasta, obviously on a piece of toast for breakfast. And it can really be versatile in the sense that it can be used in sweet or savory dishes, or just eaten on its own.
Yeah.
What do you think, Michael?
Well, I think it's a lot of fun to be able to work with the fresh style cheeses because, you know, they really bring out a lot of the real art of making cheese because you really don't get an option to, you know, to do anything other than just make the cheese and it comes from the milk. So you really get a great reflection of the quality of the milk and the quality of the cheese making when you're working with the fresh cheeses. So today I paired this up, something really simple. I have the Bonnie's Jams, and this is a strawberry and a rhubarb, and I really like that. You know, strawberries and this go really well together, but adding that little bit of rhubarb on there is really kind of fun. And then for my vehicle to hold this up, I'm using the Effie's, their original oat cakes. And so kind of give me a little bit of a breakfast treat, I think. But as for a serious adult then, I'm pairing it up with the Pilsner Urquell, a nice little Pilsner, you know, makes it really simple, easy, light. That actually tastes a little like a biscuit itself.
Yeah, Angie and I will actually use the Effie's cocoa cakes with some Quark and like a slice of fresh strawberry. And it's like, yeah, it's amazing. It's like chocolate cheesecake. It's pretty awesome.
Mm.
So we're definitely into your pairing. We're a big fan of Effie's oat cakes. We think they go well with lots of cheese. We think they go exceptionally well with our Quark and our Prairie Breeze for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so good. Nice.
Okay.
Well, let's
Right.
move on to the next one. Got to keep tasting. The next cheese we're going to taste is Prairie Breeze, and we've talked a lot about how it's made and why it came to be, but haven't told you, I guess, about what it tastes like.
Yeah. So most people will, you know, pick it up in a format like this, you know, a retail size piece, which is wonderful and great. But when you taste Prairie Breeze, obviously room temperature is best. I mean, it'll be great when it's cold, but room temperature really brings out some of the more sort of weird and unique attributes that Prairie Breeze can have. So when you take this, you know, piece of cheese or a chunk of it, actually smell it. And it has an aroma that can often be like reminiscent of like pineapple, you know, or, you know, tropical fruit. There's some little bit of that in there. And, you know, when people are like, does it smell like fresh pineapple? And I'm like, yeah, it kind of more smells like canned pineapple or like Hawaiian punch. It has a very subtle and unique fruitiness to it. And when you taste it, you know, it really does exhibit a little bit of what everybody likes about just about every cheese. So it is sweet, it is fruity, it is nutty, it is creamy, it is crunchy. You know, it literally has all of those buzzwords, you know, wrapped up in one piece. And, you know, from a sales perspective, you know, it is kind of fun because I really have not met anybody that hasn't been able to say that they at least don't enjoy it. That doesn't mean everyone's going to buy it, but it does mean that, you know, 100 out of 100 people tend to really like this cheese. So, you want to try some?
Yeah, I just inhaled some. It's delicious. Definitely pick up this cheese, break it, play with it, look at the moisture level in it, the texture. This cheese is just so good in so many ways. And I mentioned that we first made it in 2007 and then in 2009. Thanks to one of our good friends, Linda Luke, for pushing the team, it won its first blue ribbon. So if you're on, Linda, hello. But since then, it has won tons more awards. It is consistently a favorite among, you know, everyone in your family, but also cheesemongers and cheese tasters. What do you call it? People who cheese judges. Along the way. But yeah, people love this in a grilled cheese. They love it with apples. Right now is apple season. The Musters particularly love Prairie Breeze with apple pie. It's so good. We think it tastes great again on an Effie's oat cake. Also, with all sorts of wines. I think you can go really fruity and have a delicious fruity wine, or even a Pinot Noir with Prairie Breeze, and it will just like keep you coming back for more.
What do you think, Michael?
You know, I've been having this cheese for a long time. I did a lot of work with Hy-Vee, and that we're a big supporter. And I remember the first time having this and being really surprised that it has so much buttery flavor. It's almost fruity in a way. It's got kind of a nice little sweetness to it that is uncharacteristic of a true cheddar, which I think makes this so unique. And I think that's why a lot of people like it, is because it gives it a nice balance. It's not so sharp, it's not so buttery, it's really right in there with a little hint of fruit. So really fun. So I paired this up with a fig spread, because I really love figs and cheddar styles. And for the vehicle, I went with a Rustic bakery. And this is really unique. I love this. This is almonds, cocoa, and it has a little bit of tart cherry. So I think it's really fun to have you know, something like that with this, and then having a pepper jelly. And I know that you guys were going to taste the spicy portion, but this is Preservation Society, and they do a pepper jelly that has a little bit of apple cider vinegar in it. So there's the vinegar has got a tanginess. So they kind of build in, and then a little bit of heat. And then I'm pairing that up with the Highland Brewery, the Gaelic ale, something that's a little malty. And I think that's really kind of fun with, you know, adding a little bit of kind of like thick bready, a little hint of molasses with this.
Everything you said just sounds so good. And yeah, if you have the Mike's Hot Honey at home that came in the pack, Mike's Hot Honey on Prairie Breeze is delicious. Yeah. We tend to be partners with them at a number of food shows, so we always share a product, because their honey is spicy and sweet and goes well with Prairie Breeze, as well as our cheese, you know, goes well with their stuff too.
Yeah, I thought about that as well, of you know, adding the hot honey on there, and I'm adding that in at the end with all the spiciness. But that's kind of neat. And you know, that's the thing about pairings. You know, there is no absolute. There's you know, kind of what you like and what you want to add to things. So that's what makes it fun.
Nice.
Couldn't agree more. Okay, so the next cheese on our list is Flory's Truckle, the one we've been chatting so much about. We talked a lot about its composition, how it's made, but this one is one you should definitely pick up and take a smell and a break as well, right, Jeff?
So this is one, you know, a lot of people ask if I'll eat the rind, and I'll actually always eat the rind on Flory's Truckle. Obviously, you want to make sure that the cloth has been removed. And the reason why I like to eat the rind is it tastes like the aging room. So when I taste the rind of Flory's Truckle, I am tasting that room where these cheeses spend most of their lives. And I think it's really remarkable. So the recipe, like we said earlier, this is a Milton Creamery recipe, but produced by the Flory family. The culture composition is very similar to Prairie Breeze. So you will pick up some subtle hints of sweetness. You will pick up a lot of those sort of underlying notes that Prairie Breeze has, but with just a much more wild and complex flavor than Prairie Breeze. So Flory's Truckle, all raw milk, obviously entirely handmade, cloth bound, lard rubbed, 12-month plus aged truckle, English style cheddar. So
Yeah, I think it's fun to look at the color of this too. It's kind of like a pale gold, beautiful color. And to look at the rind, obviously, if you bought this from MiltonCreamery.com, the cloth portion has been removed, but it is that natural rind. So it's fun to see the color composition and know that it is definitely sweeter than some of your traditional cloth-bound English cheddars, but it has a little bit of a tang at the end, which is very Flory's Truckle-ish.
Yeah.
This one, pairing wise, I mean, again, you can use sweet and spicy hot honey if that works for you. I think Flory's Truckle goes really well with a cider. If you're interested in ciders, that kind of fresh, juicy apple taste. Maybe it's just this season, but that tastes really good. And it has kind of caramel, grassy, again, nutty notes. So any of those items that live in that space would be really great with it as well.
Yeah. So what Angie was saying about the color, you know, obviously you can tell this cheese being a little over a year old. This is, you know, milk that is from cows that are on summer pasture. So you'll see more of that beta carotene in their diet, and it'll create more of that nice yellowish hue. Whereas the Prairie Breeze, if you can see the color difference, is going to be a little bit more stark white, because this was made in the winter time. Prairie Breeze tends to be usually right about 9 months in age, and Truckle can be, you know, 12 and more, like we discussed. So it's pretty neat to see that. And you know, as you open wheels of Truckle throughout the year, they will go from deep, you know, straw yellow to more of that bone white, depending on what the animals are eating at the different time of year. And like Angie said, you know, the way that I like to cut Truckle is in this nice triangle piece, and I always encourage people to sort of work from the center of the wheel out. From the center of the wheel, it's going to be kind of bright, a little acidic, tart and sweet. And as you get closer and closer to the rind, you know, the flavors become a little bit more, you know, we call them like brown flavors. So you get a little bit more of the brown butter, a little bit more of the caramel, a little bit more of the butterscotch. And it's really kind of a fun cheese to eat and like work your way through it slowly. Like a nice chunk like this would be perfect for one person. And just, you know, taste with different things, you know, something crisp like an apple would be great. Cider is really great with Flory's Truckle. And honestly, you know, I'm kind of a purist sometimes, and I just like to attack the cheese by itself. So, yeah.
Well, it's, you know, definitely has a little difference where you pick up a little bit of that earthiness, you know, that from the rind, and a hint of spice, maybe a little horseradish comes across. So very, very nice. It's just such an easy snacking cheese. And again, it looks beautiful on a cheese board. So kind of like what I did before, this is a fig spread, and I put on the cheese along with, this is the fire hook, and this is rosemary and sea salt. And I really wanted to kind of amplify that fig spread just a little bit with the cheese and kind of give it a little bit more flavor that way. And then I'm going to stay with the Gaelic ale, you know, a little bit of maltiness.
That's so nice.
Nice.
Yeah, one thing we forgot to mention is that all Flory's Truckles, as you can see our kind of mock-up one right here, come with a ribbon on it as well as the label. And this is something that cheesemongers love. Each ribbon is hand cut and hand tied, mostly by the Musser family and Jane herself. But it kind of makes it extra special, and it comes with instructions on how you cut a truckle, because not everyone is used to this shape. It's very different. So I think that's a fun thing to share, that we get a lot of Instagram videos about cutting your first truckle. We have one more. So going from mild to wild, this is definitely the wild card in what we're offering today, which is our 4-alarm cheddar. You saw a picture of it being made, but I think it's important to talk about how delicious and versatile this cheese can be.
Yeah, so when we're talking about 4-alarm and we're introducing it to people, and obviously the name would imply that it is spicy, and it is spicy, but it's not one of those cheeses that's like meant to ruin your day, if that makes sense. So like Angie mentioned, we do add chili pepper, jalapeno, a little bit of chipotle, and a little bit of ghost chili. And each one of those kind of contributes a little bit of their own little version of heat, if you will. So when you taste 4-Alarm, what you should get first is, the texture of a well-made piece of cheese. I mean, I think it's beautiful, and you can see the outline of all the curds as they were compressed, and you can see all of the wonderful peppers that are in it. But you'll get a sort of an immediate hint of smoke right off the bat, and that comes from those smoked jalapenos, those chipotle peppers, and the heat in your mouth will kind of linger there for a minute, and as you're maybe 10-15 seconds into enjoying it, that's when that ghost pepper starts to kind of creep up the back of your throat, not in a bad way. It's not like it's not going to ruin your day. We find that the heat from the ghost pepper, it has a very steep incline and a steep decline. So if you eat 4-Alarm and you're not into the spiciness, literally grab another bite of Prairie Breeze, wait 2 minutes, and you will have forgotten that you've even had it. So it is rather enjoyable this way. It's kind of like a grown-up pepper jack, if you will. Mm-hmm. Great in, obviously, great to cook with, great to snack with, great with quesadillas, tacos, on salads, etc. Great on a burger, to be honest with you. It makes a heck of a grilled cheese, believe it or not.
It's super meltable.
Yeah, so that it is really good.
Yeah, it's really good. It's obviously, again, the younger cheddar with all those flavors in there. It has the sneaky burn, but it's meant to put the cheese first, and so you can taste that delicious Iowa milk and cheese, and it has those big flavors and layers within it. So it's not just like a crazy spicy hot sauce that's gonna be really intense. Jeff and I like it best on a Ritz cracker, like just a nice buttery cracker. If you go to the basics, and if you are somebody who loves spicy things, this should be your table cheese because it is just so good.
Yeah. What do you think, Michael?
Just so right on that. The first taste you get is that smokiness. You really taste that chipotle, and then you get the creep up there. Now, I'm a fair weather, hot, spicy person. I like spices, but I don't like a lot of heat. And I have to say that this is very tolerable for somebody that's not a big fan of the heat. I think it's really well balanced. You really get more of the spicy flavors. You really get the pepper flavors, and I really appreciate that. And a lot of times I'm sure it comes across from the cheese taking a little bit of that down. So I went with your hot honey, and when I do chili, cornbread is kind of like my thing. I really love that heat and the cornbread. So didn't want to go through all that, so I picked up a box of Effie's corn biscuits, which pretty much serves the same purpose, except I don't have to do any cooking or anything. And then a piece of the cheese, and I just smothered it with the honey.
Wonderful. Yeah, it's interesting that when you say that you are a fair weather heat in your food kind of person, we get that a lot too, and we try to convey to people that 4-Alarm is meant to take you like right to the edge of your comfort zone. Right, we call it the uh-oh moment. Like when you're eating it, you're like, oh, I can feel that ghost pepper really creep up on you. You get to your uh-oh moment, and then it starts to dissipate and wind down. And then really what you're left with is just a nice endorphin rush, which oddly enough makes you want to have more cheese, makes you want to have another sip of beer. So it is a great, it's a great cheese to put out in front of people, especially if they say that, I don't like spicy. Obviously the people who are really adverse to spice aren't going to enjoy this, but the ones who like a fair amount of heat and flavor, they'll actually get a lot out of it. And there's a pretty good reason why this is creeping up into being one of our top selling items. We're selling more and more of it every day that goes by, and there's a reason for it. But yeah.
Well, I paired this up with the New Belgian. This is the Voodoo Ranger. It's an IPA. And I really wanted that hoppiness in there to kind of work with the spices. So it's a hoppy sweet, hoppy hot, and just kind of, and with the sweetness of the honey, it's fabulous.
Great.
Yeah, love it. So I think that rounds out our tasting. If there's any questions, we're happy to answer them.
We didn't get a question. We just got a comment saying that they appreciate the shout out to Boston for Bonnie's jams and Effie's homemade biscuits. So,
You know, there's some great products and some great great women behind those products too.
yeah, it's funny. I didn't know that they were friends, and I had Joan and Irene on, and so we were talking about that. So we paired up a bunch of their friends of Bonnie Jams, which is a really amazing set of products. I really enjoy them. I've been using them a lot. But these cheeses are just, you know, wonderful for any cheese board. You can set this up, and I don't think there's anyone that wouldn't really enjoy this. The Quark, you know, you don't really find a lot of that out there. You know, you find mascarpone or you find creme fraiche, but fromage blanc. But having this is really nice. I've been enjoying digging into that because of the nice tanginess, but also the freshness of it. So this will go through probably for the next few mornings and have really nice breakfasts adding that in. And then I'm going to try the grilled cheese sandwich with the 4 Alarm because that just sounds really amazing.
Yeah, it'll be pretty special. So thank us later. Yeah.
Well, good. Well, I want to thank you so much for coming out and spending some time and, you know, telling us all about the creamery and the community that they support, which is important. And it's really good to know that, you know, the bigger they get, the more they support their community efforts. So that's really wonderful. And of course, sending me the cheese. Thank you so much. So.
Absolutely. And thank you all for tuning in. It means so much to us. We really appreciate it.
Well, this will be on my YouTube channel, Michael Landis Cheese, in the next couple of days. And you can still pick up the cheese board by going to your website, which will also be listed on the YouTube channel.
Excellent. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You guys have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
Very
Sounds
good. Take
good.
care.
Bye.
Bye.